He got dragged out of the bank right in front of everybody, shoulder dislocated, suit torn at the elbow, security guard's arm pressed so hard into his neck he saw spots. Nobody lifted a finger. Folks whispered, some just stared, others turned away like this was just another Tuesday. But not a single soul in that marble palace realized the man they'd just humiliated was about to flip their whole world upside down. His only crime was having the wrong skin color, in the wrong lobby, on the wrong morning, and you could feel it. That tension, the kind you only get when people in charge decide you're less than they are. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't fight back. He didn't even frown. All he did was walk in with presence. That was enough. The second Malachi Rivers stepped onto the polished marble of Langley First Bank, you could see it in their eyes. They'd already decided what he was worth. How far to push him, how much dignity to strip from his bones, how deeply to bury him beneath their exclusive glass and granite. But what nobody realized was, this man was carrying a quiet kind of power that doesn't come with a badge or a fancy title on the door. It comes from knowing exactly who you are when the whole room tries to tell you different. The bank gleamed, cold and clinical, full of hush money and frozen smiles. Malachi didn't look like their usual client's charcoal sport coat, a little faded, khakis soft at the creases, shoes that had been resoled more than once. He wasn't flashing titanium cards or tossing business deals over lattes, just standing there with a purpose. Right away, Royce, the security guard, big guy, all muscle and not a drop of empathy, cornered him before he'd even cleared the door. You sure you're in the right place? Food pantries across the street, DMVs down the block. He said it like a joke but didn't laugh. Malachi just handed over his ID, steady as ever. Royce checked it like he was searching for the magic marker that would tell him it was fake, handed it back, then pointed him toward the general services line, never mind the velvet ropes and glass partitions for private clients. He joined the queue. Pearls, stock tickers, $1,000 shoes, everyone ahead of him. Nobody greeted him. Nobody offered water. He heard the manager, Cheston, mutter to his assistant about another benefits check guy trying to scam the system. Another teller joked about screening the lobby before it gets embarrassing. The whole time, Malachi said nothing. When his turn finally came, the teller, her badge said D, looked him up and down, asked if he had an appointment. He gave her his name and reference. She tapped away at her screen for ages, then told him to wait. No seat, no explanation, just a gesture toward the wall by the ATMs. While he stood there, he watched another customer, dripping in designer pastels, get ushered into a frosted glass suite, espresso in hand. When Cheston passed by, he didn't even bother to hide the look of contempt. What are you doing here? Not, how can I help? Just suspicion, right out in the open. Malachi gave his appointment info again, but Cheston waved him toward the unverified desk near the exit, mumbling about last week's incident with a poser. Everyone laughed. At the new desk, the man looked at Malachi's ID, frowned, asked if he was there for a delivery. No. Was he with someone? No. 10 minutes passed. Nobody came. People stared. One mother clutched her kid tighter. A guy in a crisp suit scrolled through his phone, eyes glued to Malachi's shoes. Eventually, a supervisor asked if he was sure he belonged there. Malachi said yes. He called the client services Linea special number, reserved for portfolio holders. They didn't see his name in the system. He explained again, got transferred around every new voice on the phone just as dismissive as the last. Meanwhile, a pearl-wearing woman breezed in. No ID, no appointment. She was greeted with bottled water and smiles and whisked into the executive suite. Malachi was still on hold. He watched another older gentleman, sandals and linen shirt, walk in and brush off the ID check with legacy client and a wink. Laughed all the way through the VIP door. Malachi, still waiting, finally approached the front desk again. The receptionist asked for his name, got it wrong. Sorry, can't find anything. She wouldn't check a different database. She wouldn't call upstairs. Short-staffed, all appointments today. His phone disconnected. No apology. So he called again, asked for corporate verification. This time, the voice said yes, there was a record, but the account was pending verification. Inactive. Why? Not at liberty to say. Malachi asked for the financial officer he was supposed to meet. Nothing. Meanwhile, a junior banker called out Mr. Pritchard, a portly guy in a Hawaiian shirt, led him to a private suite with a smile. Malachi sat in one of the hard lobby chairs designed to discourage people like him from sticking around. His phone buzzed. A survey. Was your service excellent? He closed it without a word. That's when Reagan showed up. Banker. Navy suit too tight, cheekbones sharp, smile even sharper. You all right, buddy? Looking for the public restrooms? If you need soup, next building over. Another customer joined in. Think I saw him digging through the trash bins on third last week, same coat. The laughter was ice cold. Reagan leaned in. You know what people like you don't get? This place was built to keep certain people in, others out. You don't dress the part, you don't look the part. Hell, you don't even smell the part. Malachi said nothing. He just breathed, every second a study in restraint. Reagan kept at it, waving his hand, making jokes about the funk in this corner. Nobody in the room flinched, not even the staff who'd seen this play before. Malachi approached the desk again, calm as ever, asking for an update. Brienne, the receptionist, said, "Please be patient," but her eyes never met his. No help, no action. Finally, Royce reappeared. "Come with me, sir. We need to clarify a few things about your account." He led Malachi down a back hallway, through a staff-only door, into a windowless room. They questioned him, asked his name, asked about his financial literacy, asked if he had a supervisor who could vouch for him. One man accused him of fraud, said his presence had been flagged. Another asked about the documents in his briefcase. Do you even understand what these mean? They questioned his outfit, his calm, everything about him. Malachi kept it together, answering with patience that was more steel than softness. Finally, Royce led him out, not to the main lobby, but a side exit. There, the operations manager snatched Malachi's briefcase, dumped its contents across the floor. Legal documents, certified letters, proof of account, none of it mattered. Looks like intake files from the state corrections board, he joked. More laughter. Upstairs, a man in a three-piece suit declared, for everyone to hear, that Malachi's behavior was a risk to client integrity, that the bank reserved the right to remove anyone whose presence compromised the experience of verified clients. Bureaucratic poison, plain and simple. Nobody challenged it. Malachi picked up his documents, each one carefully, closed his case, and walked to the door. Let's be honest, you were never supposed to be here, the operations manager said, low and final. As Malachi left, the staff muttered about getting back to real clients, about the vibe being off. Upstairs, Cordell, the branch director, watched the whole thing on camera, making jokes about shoe prices and new visual standards for clients. He drafted a proposal for proper business attire, said, "We're not running a soup kitchen," sent it off with a laughing emoji. But just as he settled back, his desk phone rang. Is this the branch director of Langley First Midtown? Speaking. This is Brixton Financial's audit liaison. We're calling to confirm that our complete withdrawal order has been executed. $2.66 billion as of 9:03 a.m. Our CEO authorized the divestment. Cordell stared at the screen as red freeze notices started stacking up in real time. This has to be a mistake, but the voice on the line just kept going. All accounts terminated, incident under review, compliance to follow up. The name M. Rivers flashed on the terminal. Malachi Rivers. The same man they just kicked out. Cordell's hands started to shake. Downstairs, Malachi waited outside, briefcase on his knees. He didn't move. Inside, panic spread. Emails flew. Internal memos warned all staff not to contact or reference client IDM. Rivers. Word got out fast. Ashton, the young banker, checked the directory. There it was, Malachi Rivers, founder, Brixton Financial. The weight of it settled on the branch like a thunderstorm. HR arrived, security escorted Cordell out. Staff got handed sealed envelopes. One by one, faces fell as they realized what they'd done. Reagan couldn't get another job in finance. Brienne and Ashton quit. Cheston vanished. Cordell tried calling in favors, but every line ended with Malachi's legal counsel. Prepare your legal team. News broke. Langley First Bank faces racial discrimination scandal. Billionaire client exposes systemic bias. Stock price nosedived. Lawsuits lined up. The CEO went on camera. Systemic failure. No excuses. Staff cleared their desks. Branch shut down. Outside, Malachi didn't give a statement, didn't file a lawsuit. He poured new investment into community scholarships and opened a career center, ironically, one that eventually hired Reagan. His quiet, steady hand moved on, leaving a broken system behind, but also, maybe, planting the seeds for something better. Because the lesson wasn't about revenge, it was about respect, about justice without vengeance, about what happens when you remember that dignity isn't something a system gives you, it's something you keep, no matter what. So, yes, sometimes it takes one silent man with the right credentials to remind the world that you don't get to decide someone's worth just because you're the one holding the velvet rope. What about you? Would you have stepped in or stayed silent? What does justice look like to you when no one's watching? Let's hear your thoughts below.